It's like he got a beard.
A beard?
Nope. Smooth as silk.
Odyssey detective agent.
Christy, where'd you say you were going?
Uptown.
No kidding. What a coincidence. So am I. Come on, I'll give you a lift.
Why, thank you, Charles.
Did you write Dorothy's part for her?
Oh, every word, you know, her whole relation. I never, tragically, I never met her husband who killed her. But I knew she was unhappy in her marriage, and I knew the husband was a bit of a pain in the ass. That's all I knew.
So he's kind of that guy in the window.
He's the guy in the window who's kind of giving her shit. But I thought he was benign in terms of, I didn't think he was lethal. And so he's written sort of benign.
You know what? There was a moment in that shoe store scene that I remember, which is her doing a double take, and I remember registering it as a good double take to get somebody to imitate if you need a double take.
Yeah, it's a quick one.
Well, it's because you know, I'm not going to demonstrate the double take right now, but you know, when you do there's usually the quick first one, and then the second one is the longer one.
Right.
They're both really fast. But
yeah, because she had to look back.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to reveal that she's doing
seeing
this double
somebody.
take.
That's right.
And so when she does the second look, she just does a quick thing with her eyes, but it's like a moment that's very fast.
Yeah, it was
but you get
amazing.
the double take, but the whole thing's over really, really fast.
Yeah,
Yeah, just add it to the list of things to steal. Yeah.
I'm glad. That was particularly difficult because it was John's point of view, and the camera was moving, so she had to look. If you study it, you'll see she's looking into the lens. Because the lens was moving.
Well, I did study it.
I meant the viewer.
For a movie like They All Laughed, what is the set like? Is it a much smaller set than let's say a Sidney Pollack on the streets of New York and a set like They All Laughed? Are those radically different?
Radically different, because we purposely, having learned my lesson, we purposely downsized. So on They All Laughed, there were certain union restrictions. You had to have a certain number of people. For most of the scenes on the streets of New York, where we were shooting on the streets of the city, the crew was 20 blocks away with the trucks. And we had a very small, maybe 5, 6 people with us. There was a couple of ADs, there was the cameraman, the operator, sound crew, 2, 3 people, and that was it. And we were on the streets of New York with Audrey Hepburn, Ben Gazzara, John Ritter, Dorothy Stratton, and we had no money for extras, so we couldn't close down the streets. We had real people walking. So we couldn't have trucks parked. So Audrey had no dressing room, no trailers, nothing. We had a hotel room in certain places, but otherwise they'd wait in stores for us, or beauty parlors. And we did everything with signals and shit. I mean, it was...
Well, that seems to have found its way into the movie because everybody's giving each other signals. And everybody's hiding in stores and behind bushes and things.
Yes, it kind of goes with the making of the picture. We hired, for the big scenes when we were on the streets a lot, we hired 10 extras, that's all we could afford, to block the camera so that people wouldn't notice that we were shooting. We had dolly shots on Fifth Avenue, but we had extras blocking the camera. So occasionally somebody recognized me and they'd say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just shooting a commercial." It was one of the first things we shot. I think it was the first day or the second day, was that whole sequence when they, not in the Algonquin, but when they go in the exterior of the Algonquin and the Times Square area when John and Blaine are following Dorothy and her friend and so on. And there was that close-up of Dorothy when the bus goes by her and stops and then goes on. And everybody in the room kind of went, and we'd all seen it, you know, we all were there, and it was a nice close-up, but on the screen it was like, took your breath away.
Right.
And it wasn't just how beautiful she was, but also the bus came in perfectly, and it was just like, oh, what a great, you know, moment. And all of that stuff on Times Square was stolen, you know, we had no cops. We somehow managed to get away with it. I don't really know how. When I think back what we were doing, we just said, come on, put the camera here, let's do it. You come, okay, you come, you walk. And
I feel like that's got to be the right way to do it, you know, because...
but you can never get extras to move like that.
How are you going to get them right? Extras are extra, I mean...
I know, never...
I don't want to badmouth extras, but... It's just hard. It's very hard to be a real extra.
Very hard
I
to be
think.
real as an extra.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I feel like you can plan the movie, all the details, and you have these elements, you have these ideas about it, and then when you, this is just my own experience, then you see the dailies, and it's the actor that you thought of, and they're saying the words that you thought of, and it's the set that you thought of, and the clothes that you thought of, and the way it's, the location, everything, and then you put it all together, and it's like, that's nothing like what I had in mind. This is a complete surprise.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you ever, do you have that experience of when you see that movie, that's this fusion of things like that, were you surprised yourself by what it ended up being?
It's a good question. I'm always surprised. I felt that on every single picture. I look at it, and finally, when it's up there, you say, oh, that's what it's going to look like. But it's a great line of Jean Renoir's on that subject. I think we may have talked about it. I said to Renoir one time, who's my favorite director, when you start a picture, Jean, do you know what it's going to look like? And he said, of course not. If I know what the picture will look like, I have no reason to make the picture. So that's a great answer, because it is, in fact, why you make it.
Yeah.
To find out what it's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
That's the good pictures, the ones that evolve, that grow organically.
Right. This of all your movies is the most Renoir of any of them. That's like a unbelievably pretentious sounding thing to say, but it does have the most Renoir kind of, there is no bad guy except for that one man in that window. There's nobody else in the whole movie who you could take as a villain on any, I mean, Renoir has guys who could be taken as villains, but there's something about Renoir where he doesn't want to have villains, and it has that spirit about it.
Well, that's about the best compliment you could give me, darling. But so it has a sort of poignancy to me, seeing it after 25 years. It also doesn't seem remotely possible that it's been 25 years. It seems about 10. So there's a time warp there. But I'm very proud of it. I think it was the peak of a certain part of my life, and I was at my best, I felt, and I felt everybody in the picture was working at their best, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, it's a beautiful movie.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Pleasure working with you, sir.